Today we got Iron Man, the Golden Avenger, taking on Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. Who wins? Well, let's find out. Tony Stark was an arrogant son of wealthy weapons manufacturer Howard Stark. Tony cared only about himself. But this changed when he had a change of heart after he was kidnapped by terrorists and gravely injured. Stark was pressured to create a weapon of mass destruction, but instead, he created a suit of power armor to escape. Now, Tony uses his vast resources and intellect to make the world a better place as the invincible Iron Man. Iron Man's abilities are constantly changing because he is continuously updating and improving his armor, but he has some powers that are pretty consistent. But just for clarity's sake, Tony will be given his bleeding edge armor in this fight. Alright, so let's get started. Now the armor gives Tony superhuman strength, and he's easily able to lift over 100 tons. He's even managed to take down the Red Hulk, stagger the actual Hulk, and brawled against Taurus, who would have just taken Thor down with just a few blows. The armor grants Tony incredible speed as well, and he can outmaneuver and dodge missile and laser fire. But perhaps most impressive is being able to outmaneuver Gladiator and even speed blitz Phoenix Force Cyclops. One of the most impressive things about the suit, though, is its durability and shields. Tony was able to hold his own against Colossus with Juggernaut's powers, a hallucinating Thor, and Rogue with the powers of Hulk. His shields also held up against the final form of Ultron, and Emma Frost with half of the Phoenix Force on her side. Pretty impressive if you ask me. Bleeding Edge is also equipped with countless different weapons, with the most common being his repulsor rays, unibeams, and missiles and lasers. He also has miniature cluster bombs, homing lasers, multi-directional repulsors, microscopic telepathic tasers, and a sonic weapon that nearly killed Juggernaut. Tony's also incredibly intelligent, a skilled fighter, and is an excellent strategist that is able to use his intellect to think of countless ways to take down opponents. Then, in the other corner we have Darth Vader. Anakin Skywalker was once a heroic Jedi Knight, but was seduced by the powers of the dark side, and became the Dark Lord known as Darth Vader, in an attempt to save the life of his wife and unborn children. However, in spite of everything he has done, there were still remnants of good in him. Even after his transformation into Darth Vader, Anakin was still a skilled fighter, and actually used a lot of the same fighting styles. These consisted of Form 5, which allows him to deflect blaster fire with ease, and even block shots from freighters, and Form 4, which was best used in open spaces, and could be used to block incoming projectiles. In fact, some people were able to figure out that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker simply by observing his fighting style. However, the new suit significantly limited his speed and agility, but he was much stronger and more pain-resistant. This didn't slow him down though, and Vader consistently fought and killed dozens of Jedi, including Jedi Masters. Vader's also very good at throwing his lightsaber. He's actually been able to down ships with a lightsaber throw. After his transformation, Anakin's connection to the Force increased exponentially. You see, even though his injuries had physically crippled him, Vader believed that the suffering that he had experienced had both perfected his soul and freed him from the needs of the flesh, allowing him to concentrate solely on his connection with the Force. He's been able to stop an AT-AT from stepping on him, bring down spaceships, and he can even move objects without having to gesture to them, allowing him to throw objects with the Force while engaged in lightsaber combat. He's also infamous for the Force choke, and will crush or snap the neck of an adversary. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, it might seem like at first glance, Tony can easily take this. I mean, you can definitely argue that he is overall more powerful, as he's battled against beings like Thor, Hulk, and Ultron. But you should never underestimate the power of the dark side, and Darth Vader might just have the right skill set to come out on top in this fight. So let's talk about it. Now, physically, Iron Man has got a massive advantage. I mean, physically, Vader is not all that impressive. He's strong enough to throw grown men around like children, and has been able to break free of metal restraints, but that just can't compare with Iron Man. Tony is able to stagger the Hulk with his punches, fought against Thor, and manhandled Red Hulk. They're nowhere close to being in the same league. And same goes for durability. Now, in terms of durability, Vader is slightly more impressive than with strength. He's taken attacks from a Rancor, multiple slashes with lightsabers, and nearby missiles or explosions don't really affect him as much as a normal person. But again, Iron Man is just better. Just is. His suit has survived inside of a black hole, withstood the heat of Odin's forge. His shields went up against final form of Ultron, and he's taken blows from Hulk and Thor. Same goes with speed. Darth Vader is fast enough to make his lightsaber appear like a blur, while Iron Man has outmaneuvered Gladiator and speed blitzed Phoenix Force Cyclops. But with reflexes, well, Vader is very impressive with the Force. He's actually blocked attacks with his lightsaber that were coming at him at light speed, and stopped those same kinds of blasts with the Force, just millimeters from his face. However, there was never really a question about physicality for this fight. Everyone already knows that Iron Man is physically superior. And honestly, that doesn't really matter much in this fight. Or at least, not as much as you would think it would. Because look, there are two aspects to this fight: close combat and long distance. And Vader should be able to hold his own in both of those areas surprisingly well. Like, let's start looking at close combat. Iron Man has a tendency to sometimes brawl against opponents, and it just comes down to throwing punches, even though Tony could just fire missiles and repulsor blasts from a distance. And while Iron Man can definitely overpower Darth Vader, it's not Vader himself he's got to be worried about, but his lightsaber. Because Vader uses his lightsaber to down AT-AT walkers. And it's been said by Grand Moff Tarkin that he had never seen someone use a lightsaber as rapid or lethal as Vader. If Darth Vader is able to use the lightsaber against the Iron Man armor, well, close combat will be incredibly dangerous for Tony, considering that he could be bisected or decapitated with a single blow. So the question we need to answer: could Vader's lightsaber cut through Iron Man's armor? Well, it's kinda yes and no. Because the lightsaber can basically cut through anything. Yeah, it might take a little while, like when Qui-Gon was cutting through the blaster doors, but for the most part, the blade always makes it through. Now, Iron Man's suit is remarkably durable, and it should provide him protection from strikes or glancing blows. But a direct stab or thrust should be able to make it through. But then you get to Iron Man's force fields. Tony's got a remarkable shield surrounding him and entwining within the armor at all times. And not even Wolverine could cut through with his claws. Even Black Panther had to disrupt the armor first before he could hurt Tony with his anti-metal claws. So, for the most part, I would say that Darth Vader's lightsaber isn't going to be super effective against Iron Man. At least, not as effective as it could be against another combatant. However, Vader definitely can use his lightsaber to deflect pretty much everything that Iron Man can throw at him. Yeah, Tony's got repulsor rays, unibeams, missiles, and lasers. But Darth has deflected things like that countless times before with his lightsaber. He's blocked blaster fire from an entire squadron of fighters, blocked multiple shots coming in from different directions, and even blocked blaster shots from starships. He should be able to easily block most shots from Iron Man, and even the shots that he can't block, he can always just freeze them in midair with the Force. And that's definitely problematic for Tony, as that would take away a lot of his long-range attacks, which are definitely his greatest assets in this fight. Really, the Force is going to be problematic for Tony on lots of different fronts, because not only could Vader block Iron Man's shots, he could potentially crush Iron Man's suit like a tin can, or unleash the infamous Force choke. So how will all that fare? Well, Darth Vader has managed to bring down AT-AT walkers, or crush up TIE fighters and send them flying. He's definitely got some power behind his ability to Force crush. However, I don't think he'll be able to crush up Iron Man's armor quite as easily. I mean, Tony has survived inside of a black hole, and you can't tell me that Vader has more crushing power than a black hole. However, a Force choke might be a very different story. Now yes, Iron Man has some telepathic and telekinetic shielding inside of his suit, but that shouldn't be able to stop Vader from choking him out, because the Force seems to operate very differently from simple telepathy or telekinesis. It doesn't actually have to go through anything, it just manipulates the object directly. Basically, what I mean is that Darth Vader wouldn't have to worry about the telekinetic shielding, because the Force can just manipulate Tony's throat directly, and not to bypass the shielding in order to do so. I mean, Vader has Force choked a man who was in outer space while he was still on the planet, ignoring the atmosphere and all the space between them, the countless layers of metal, and even the force fields inside the ship. However, while Darth Vader would be able to choke Iron Man, it's not an instant victory for the Dark Lord. Remember, it takes at least a couple seconds for Vader's Force choke to do someone in. And if Vader loses focus or concentration, then he'll lose hold of the Force choke, and Tony can breathe again. And Iron Man is a very skilled fighter, so he's going to continue attacking Vader even as he's being choked, especially because he'll realize the choking is coming from Vader because Darth probably said something about underestimating the power of the Force or something like that. So, fair to say, it'll be hard for Darth Vader to take Iron Man down. On the other hand, one good blast from Tony and Vader's done for. And then that's not even considering Tony's greatest weapon, an EMP blast. Tony Stark is like the machine guy, and he'll know right from the beginning that Darth Vader is a cyborg and is part machine. So odds are, Iron Man will try and use an EMP attack as soon as possible. And the thing is, Darth Vader has been hit with an EMP blast before, and it kinda worked. Vader was shut down for a good little while, but he was able to overcome it with the Force and his sheer hate and begin moving again. But the guy who unleashed the EMP just stood there and gloated. That's why Vader was able to come back and kill him. Tony would actually finish him off while Darth was incapacitated. So, who wins? Well, Darth Vader has proven himself to be really impressive and quite the formidable foe. However, none of his moves have the ability to put Iron Man down right away. The lightsaber will do some damage, but with Stark's force field, it'll be far from lethal. Even the Force choke takes a few seconds to kill someone, and Vader isn't able to do it if he loses focus. I suppose he could perform a Force choke on Iron Man's heart, but that's never really been his go-to move, and he's only done it a few times. On the other hand, one direct shot from Iron Man's repulsors, and they'll definitely turn the tide of the battle. And there's always the EMP, which should put Darth Vader out for long enough to let Iron Man claim the victory. End of the day, Darth Vader will definitely get some wins, But I gotta put my money behind Iron Man. Iron Man wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sign off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe button. More videos just one every single weekday. And I'll see you next time.